I'm back after a season off from the channel, literally the entire spring. Not necessarily because I just got bored of it or tired of it and wanted to do something else. My wife and I basically made the decision to completely uproot our lives and change everything. And a lot of just even the small things changed, all the way up to the big things, which you could probably tell by the fact that I'm not sitting in my shop. We changed almost everything because it really was a long time coming. We weren't where we wanted to be long term, and we are making the steps. We are taking the steps that we need to take to make that happen over time. And I'm going to go into that more in some future videos. I want to talk about and encourage people to do the things in their lives that they want to do. There's so many people that aren't where they want to be, aren't happy where they want to be, and you just don't have to live that way. And I'm going to start with one of the smallest minor things that changed, which is probably one of the more obvious things, is I am sitting in a different car than I was sitting in my last video when I was talking about the Super Bowl halftime show, Bad Bunny, Turning Point USA. How irrelevant is that? Isn't that funny? That's why my goal really in this channel isn't to talk about the exact kind of things I was talking about in my last video, which is these stupid cultural tiffs that we get into, when the real thing is, it's the big picture. What's the big picture? What Bad Bunny is not the problem. It's the surrounding things around that are the problem that we need to work on and discuss as a society in order to course correct. But anyway, that's not what I'm talking about today. Today I want to talk about the different car that I'm sitting in. I was sitting in my car that will probably be the car that someday I will regret selling the most. I know that. My 2007 Dodge Magnum SRT8. Car was just almost a perfect cream puff of a car. When I bought it, it had 90,000 miles on it, like 92,000. Had a cracked engine block because the previous owner cracked it. The radiator cracked in the middle of winter time, and instead of keeping up with it by putting antifreeze in it, he decided to keep up with the coolant by just pouring water in it in February. And it froze hard. There was a hard freeze that came in. The engine block cracked and it ruined it. Funny thing is, so he took it all apart, took the motor apart, gave up with the car completely tore apart. I came in, I bought it, and instead of messing with the engine and all the parts he had tore apart and thrown it into a million pieces, I just went and bought a rebuilt motor online and dropped it in the car. And I was driving down the road. I did that in 2020 is when all this happened, right before COVID. I took a big financial leap of faith on that car. My wife and I, we worked hard for our money, decided to take some money out of our savings and buy that car, and then COVID happened, and it was like, what did I just do? I should never have bought this car. But we survived, we made it. I got a motor for that car, and I got it running. And I loved that car. That car was one of like 53 ever made like it. It was a beautiful car. The paint was, it was not factory condition, but really for an almost 20-year-old car, as close as you could really get realistically without the car being worth $30,000, $35,000. But I owned that car because back then I really wanted a Mopar muscle car. I wanted an SRT. I wanted a Hemi, and that car came up, and I'd always loved Magnums. My mom almost bought a Magnum when we were kids. The deal ended up not working out, but there was like a little bit of nostalgia there with a Magnum, and I was like, I'm sold. I want it. I'll take it. It's a good deal, good price, a little bit of a project. I'll take it and do what I want with it. And long story short, I owned that car for 5-6 years, and it was a great car. I truly loved it. It was just an awesome car, but it wasn't what I wanted. I am a manual transmission addict. My truck's got a manual, my classic Mopar's got a manual. All my cars have manual transmissions, and except for the Magnum. And I was like, I want a manual transmission. And those of you that are familiar with Chrysler muscle cars, modern Chrysler muscle cars, know that the only way you're going to be able to row your own gears in one is in a Challenger, which I was perfectly fine with anyway, because as much as I love the Magnum, I have just been a sucker for the Challenger since the day they came out. It is just the perfect iteration of a modern Challenger. Just everything about them is just, I just absolutely love them. And I bought a Challenger. I went and bought this car that I'm sitting in right now. And it's a project as well. I've already done quite a bit of work on it. One of the reasons why I was so busy and away from the YouTube channel was because of the work I did on it. Now, in the future, when I do work on my cars, my intention isn't to fall off the face of the earth, because I'm filming on a new phone right now. And my old phone, only the selfie camera worked. The front-facing camera did not work on that phone for some reason. It updated one time, quit working, never worked again. So I now have a front-facing camera that I can use. So my plan in the future is to, when I go into project mode on a car, is to film it and post it. So that is the change. The first of the spring, the 3-4 months that was spring, that was the first thing I did. I sold my Magnum, bought this Challenger, and I got into absolute project mode with it, getting it ready to go. And that really is the first thing I'm going to talk about in my return back onto YouTube. Ton more to talk about. Everything has changed. Life has changed. You'll hear more about that. Kind of hard to find a Bible verse to support you getting rid of a car you really liked and getting a car that you want even more. It's materialistic, it's shallow, it's childish. But I was able to sell the Magnum and buy this Challenger just for basically a swap financially. Actually, I'm still a couple grand ahead on this Challenger than I was on the Magnum. Because the Magnum, it's an SRT Magnum, those are worth a little bit. And this Challenger I got for such a good deal, with it being in project car condition. I've got I've got a lot more work I want to do on it. A lot more work to come. And so basically I swapped my Magnum for a Challenger. You know, I got the car I wanted more and I swapped, and it was basically a clean swap. So here's the closest verse that I can find to try to make an analogy work is Isaiah 43:18. Isaiah 43:18. Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. So, yeah, it's just a car, it's just a stupid car. But I did have that Magnum for a good minute. The Magnum was the second to longest duration of a car that I've currently owned. I think it was the third longest car I've ever owned at 6 years. My truck is currently the longest vehicle I have ever owned, that I currently own, and ever, actually. My truck I've owned for 8 years now. I bought it in 2018, still have it. And so the Magnum, I went back and forth on selling that car for a long time. I would list it, get cold feet to pull it off. I would list it, get cold feet, pull it off. I can be somewhat resistant to change in my life. And eventually I got to a point where I had this realization, and this is sort of the point that I want to drive home with the cars, with the life changes that my wife and I have made, is when you want something, if you really want it, find a way to make it happen. Eventually with the Magnum, I was like, I love this car. It's a great car. It's a beautiful car. It's a clean car. But and I like having it, but it's ultimately not what I want. What do I want? I want a 6-speed Challenger. I've wanted it for years. I've wanted it the whole time. It has been, the Magnum is the second to most wanted car on my list. But in the modern Mopar world. But the Challenger, a modern 6-speed Challenger with the 6.1 Hemi, that was another thing. I'm just having that 07 Magnum with the 6.1 Hemi. I was like, I need a Challenger with the same motor. The 6.4s are great. The 5.7s and the RTs, those are fine, but the 6.1s are just different. They are just absolute beasts. There's nothing else in the NA world that compares to a 6.1. And it was like, you know what? I'm tired of wanting this car. I'm tired of wanting a 6-speed Challenger. I'm just going to do it. And I might regret selling the Magnum. Only way to know if I'm going to regret it is to sell it and see how I feel. And that's really where this verse comes in. Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Even if you sell it and you regret it, you got to let it go, right? That's of the past. What's done is done. You can't unring the bell. But that being said, I really have not regretted selling the Magnum at all. I miss how clean that car was. This car, I've got $1,500 in PDR work. I had this kid come out before we moved, and he came out 4 times, maybe 5 times on separate occasions. Just came out. He's a mobile PDR guy. Came out with his rods, and he was just pushing dents. This thing was just dinged up to a million pieces. He got every dent out of this car except for one on the front fender and one on this door right here on the corner where the seams are too tight. He just wasn't able to get a rod back in there to push it out. He used the glue. He pulled it out as much as he could, but I was like, if there's 100 dents on this car, you got 98 of them out. I am ecstatic with what you've done. Still more to do and more to come, and I have every intention of putting all of that on the channel. So stay tuned and more to come. Thanks so much for watching, and God bless.